Hello everybody, I'm Potatowhiskers, and today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I hope that it comes out well. I actually did a little bit of preparation this time, including vocal warm-ups and stuff like that, to try and improve the quality of the video. I am currently looking... There we go. Alright, so, anyway, as you can see, without any further delays, as you can see, we've got a Magic the Gathering card here on the table. Magic the Gathering is one of my biggest hobbies, next to gaming, so I figured why not introduce it here on the channel, just as kind of a casual thing. I love deck building. It's probably my favorite, part of Magic, just putting a deck together and really enjoying seeing it, it all work. Anyway, this right here is my first commander, Rafiq of the Many. It was the first commander deck that I built, and actually is very, very storied in that regard. So, what I'd like to do today is just kind of go through all the cards that are currently in this deck as it stands right now, and just kind of talk about Magic, and, I don't know, if you like that sort of thing, then stick around, and we'll just kind of hang out. So anyway, I've been playing Magic for... I want to say going on 3 years now, maybe 4. I'm not entirely certain, but it's been a few years since I started. I can't quite pin it down. But when I started playing Magic, I played Standard, and I played Modern. And those formats just... they didn't appeal to me in the sense of, like, I couldn't really go to events and participate because the power levels that I was seeing in those events were just way too high. And in retrospect, kind of impressive, but also, just very intimidating for somebody of my skill level. So anyway, I've got 2 cards here that I just slapped down while I was talking. Obelisk of Bant and Open the Armory. Obelisk of Bant, obviously, I threw in there, A, for flavor, because Bant, it's a Bant deck, and B, because, obviously, it provides, all 3 of my colors. You can see green, white, blue. Open the Armory is an inclusion in a lot of Rafiq decks, that I've seen on, like, EDH Rec and stuff. Basically, because the idea is that a lot of people build Rafiq as a Voltron deck, which, if you don't know what that means in Magic the Gathering terms, is basically you focus everything on the commander to wipe your opponents out with commander damage. Mine kind of does that, but does it a little bit differently. I focused on his Exalted mechanic instead. Here I have Mother of Runes. Well... I'll pick that up later. There goes my Open the Armory. Actually, I'm going to pick it up now. Whoop! Just so I don't roll over it. Here I have Mother of Runes, designed to give protection to basically whatever I need it. I hate this card. I absolutely hate this card so much, but I have it because if you can't beat them, join them. And here I have a proxy of a Soul Ring. To cut down on costs. Basically, if a card costs a few dollars or more, I usually get a proxy made of it if I own the card, and only if I own the card. That's the stipulation. I actually have a binder that I carry with me everywhere that has all of the cards that I use in each of my commander decks. And pretty much the only reason I proxy is because you only have to have one of any given card in a commander deck. But anyway, got 2 more cards here, Ranger of Eos and Ardent Plea. Ardent Plea is the only card with Cascade that I have in this deck, and pretty much I can use it to reliably get out either a cheap Exalted creature, or alternatively I can use it to get out like Soul Ring or something, if I get really lucky. Also, just in case you're wondering, the reason I'm wearing these Mickey Mouse gloves is because my fingers look absolutely disgusting. Full transparency, I had and still have a lifelong habit of chewing my nails because of anxiety. Do not do it. If you do, seek help. I'm working on it because it just wrecks your fingers beyond repair, really. So, go ahead and swap that out. Ranger of Eos, actually. I should talk about him. Ranger of Eos, I have... basically, he's kind of a newer addition. I put him in fairly recently, and because I think I have a Noble Hierarch, which we'll see later, and if you know that card, you know it's perfect for this deck, and another card that cost 1 CMC, and those cards just instrumental in the strategies. I have the other angel. I don't know where she is. I should actually look for her instead of just going through these cards one at a time. I should talk about them when I want to, I suppose, right? Maybe separate out all the basic lands. Anyway, while I'm doing that, and separating all that stuff out, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about how I got into Commander. And if you don't care, then go ahead and speed ahead to when you see a new card, the other angel, come on the screen here. But anyway, like I had mentioned before, not obviously, like I had mentioned before, I got into Magic as a modern player, or as a standard player. Basically, I was playing 60 card. And I bounced between the two formats, and the reason I did is because I wanted to build decks with themes. That was my whole thing, and that kind of goes into my next point of, or my next, like, talking point that I wrote up here, which is that I am totally a tribal player, like 100%, and I didn't know it at the beginning. I definitely didn't know that tribal was a thing. I didn't know that, here she is. I didn't know that tribal was a thing. I didn't know that, it was something that people did, especially in Commander, and was more viable in Commander, because I didn't know about Commander. There we go. So anyway, I have these two angels because they meld into, Brunhilde I forgot her name. It's Brunhilde something. But both angels are just great. I mean, flying for strike lifelink on a 4/3 for 4 mana is really, really good. Bruna the Fading Light costs a lot to get out, 7, but I can cheat her out in a couple... No, just one way, I think, if I need her. But I can tutor her out onto the battlefield. And being able to return target angel or human card from creature card from my graveyard to the battlefield is really, really good. Mixed with 5/7 flying vigilance, just kind of a solid creature all around, even if I don't get the other half. But if I do get both of them, they do meld, and I will go ahead and see if I can... Yeah, there we go. It's a Brisella, sorry, not Brunhilde. It's Brisella, Voice of Nightmares. Now, unfortunately, I can't just play with this in a, like clear sleeve. So I do have to take them out and flip them to play with, these cards. But they are from the Vault foilings. I know a lot of people don't like those, but to me, a foil's a foil. You know, if it's shiny, it's shiny. And so it was a little cheaper to buy these ones than the regular ones. So I think these were actually gifted. Yeah, these were actually gifted to me. But, very, very pretty, very powerful. Flying for strike, vigilance, and lifelink, and your opponents can't cast converted, or spells with converted mana cost 3 or less. If I get this out, against a deck that's, you know, just slinging spells all over the place. Whoops, wrong pile. Then it's just deadly. So, it's a lot of fun, playing with those. Whoops, there's some crap in the sleeve here. Try and get it out. There we go, got it. Okay, so anyway, how I got into Commander was basically, there was a mutual friend, between me and my, my other, friend that I got into Magic with, and, he started looking into the format, and, we were both kind of hesitant at first, because we were like, oh, come on, man, like, now we gotta build entirely new decks, and, you know, we already gotten into this way, but, we eventually conceded, and it was an amazing decision, because Commander is so much fun. And so we both, of course, went through the task of looking up who we wanted to be our commanders, and I said, to myself, I was like, I'm building a Knights deck. I'm gonna build a Knights deck no matter what I do. And so I did it. Within Rafiq's colors, the Bant colors, I just bought a bunch of Knight cards, and I just went at it. And it did not work out, like, in the slightest, because I was sticking pretty vehemently to the theme, and I was really inexperienced, so I just kind of was like, I'll just throw these cards together with things that seem powerful, and we'll just kind of, you know, we'll just see if it works. But anyway, that was me 100% being a tribal player and not realizing it, but, not realizing that I was a tribal player, was definitely to my detriment, because I wasn't even building to support the tribe, even if I was going to use Rafiq as the commander. So anyway, moving on, I've got these two cards here. Qasali Pridemage is just fantastic. It goes great in any deck that you can put it in for commander, because of that ability to sacrifice and destroy target artifact or enchantment. And if you happen to be attacking with just one creature, then you can get that Exalted trigger as well, which is just, you know, a free +1/+1 for attacking alone, you know, getting a buff for, you know, essentially, you know, free, is pretty great. So let's go ahead and we'll take these, put them in this pile here. I probably need to re-sleeve this deck sometime soon, because it is, man, these definitely aren't the first sleeves I had on it. These are Dragon Shield Ivories, matte ivories, actually. Really solid sleeves. They're the only sleeves I use. The professor recommends them from Tolarian Community College, and yeah, definitely solid product. Anyway, so these two were actually both cards that I originally planned I wanted to put in Rafiq, even back when it was the Knight theme, because both of these cards are super do not touch me. You know, Shield of Caldera is an artifact itself that it makes itself indestructible, so it can only be exiled. And it gives the equipped creature indestructible. So it's kind of like, what's the other? Darksteel Armor, but I believe it's a little cheaper than Darksteel Armor, and if you have all three of the Caldera artifacts, they form together to form Caldera, and then they all get equipped onto that, like, Caldera avatar, and it's incredibly powerful. But I think I only have the Sword and Shield in this deck. I don't believe I have the helmet. But Avacyn is one of... Actually, no, she is my favorite angel in the entirety of Magic the Gathering. She's from one of my favorite planes, which is Innistrad, and this particular Avacyn card is the most powerful, being the one that just makes... She herself is an 8/8 with Flying, Vigilance, Indestructible, and she just makes everything you have indestructible. Including your lands, which is fantastic, because some people... You know who you are. Some people love to run Land Destroy in Commander and just drag out a game for a nice, good long time. Here's another couple of Don't Touch Me cards that go perfect in this deck. Rafiq has big problems, and like if you play creature decks, you know you have big problems with sacrifice. People try to get rid of your stuff all the time, sacrifice your crap, so I threw Sigarda Host of Herons in there, especially because flying and hexproof, and then can't cause stuff to be sacked. Silent Arbiter I put in there because it's really self-explanatory if you read the card. I mean, no more than one creature can attack each combat, which in Rafiq here I'm only going to be attacking with one creature, and no more than one creature can block each combat, which ensures that if I have an effect that says, the creature I'm attacking with has menace or has to be blocked by a specific number of creatures, then I am just immediately get to get through. Or, okay, gotta make sure I put an edit in here to cut that part out. And mark. Okay, had to fix the music, because I can't focus without it, and I should be back now. But anyway, so those two are great. Another couple of cards that I included were Imperial Archangel and Akroma's Memorial. Akroma's Memorial, because this is a creature deck. It gives everything vigilance, meaning that I can attack with multiple things and I won't be tapped down, even though I forsake my Exalted bonus. But it also gives everything first strike, which is evasion. It gives everything, it gives everything flying, which is evasion. It gives everything first strike, which is protection, meaning that I can't be killed by death touch unless I don't kill the creature first. Trample, meaning all that damage that doesn't get blocked goes over. Haste, so I can play a crap load of creatures if I can, and they just go. And then protection from black and red, which are the most destroy or damage dealing heavy colors. So both of those, all of those fantastic effects rolled into one card. Obviously it's 7 mana, so it costs a lot, but just getting it, out is incredibly powerful. And, you can win the game in the same turn if if you play your cards right. Imperial Archangel I included because the all damage that would be dealt to you is dealt to Imperial Archangel instead, is really, really useful if I have Avacyn Angel of Hope on the field. Because Imperial Archangel will then be indestructible. It can take any amount of damage and not be destroyed. It has Shroud, meaning that it cannot be targeted specifically by anything, meaning me nor my opponent, just in case you didn't know what Shroud is. Shroud is the older version of Hexproof. Hexproof was refined and introduced so that your creatures could have protection from your opponents, but you would still be able to enchant and target them with abilities and things. I don't know around the time that was introduced, but anyway. So, if I get into that combo of cards, Avacyn and Imperial Archangel, it's incredibly powerful, because I can just essentially let damage come through, and all the damage gets rerouted to my Angel, so commander damage is negated, everything. I've got another couple of cards here, which just are my definitely not knights, but my support soldiers here. Thalia, Heretic Cathar, again, Innistrad, one of my favorite planes. Eldritch Moon was one of the sets that, one of the many sets that, since I've been playing, that came out, while I was kind of new. So I was super excited for it. It was not the first time I'd seen the Eldrazi, because I started playing in Battle for Zendikar, but it was the first time that I had ever seen Emrakul, and they kind of came out with it at a fortunate time, because Bloodborne, and I was getting super into that, and Lovecraft, and anyway, moving on. She's just really useful because creatures and non-basic lands your opponents enter the battlefield tapped. And she has first strike, which means you can attack with her and usually not be, too worried. Selfless Squire is really great. I usually just keep it in my hand, obviously because of the flash and the effect. You want to use it like a spell, but it just prevents all damage that would be dealt to you this turn. So basically what I do is I just don't block anything, throw out Selfless Squire, and then Selfless Squire enters as a huge creature. Which is fantastic, because then, since you've done it during an opponent's turn, it then becomes your turn, and congratulations, you now have this big creature that doesn't have Summoning Sickness. Here are another couple of cards. These ones, Alara related. Both great for the deck. Knight of New Alara is fantastic because he gives Rafiq +3/+3, making Rafiq at native a 6/6. So it's great for buffing that commander damage. And then Sovereigns of Lost Alara is a card that I use to... whoops, I took away Sovereigns of Lost Alara because it was on the wrong side. It is a card I use to cheat out one of my favorite game-winning pieces, and I'm gonna see if I can find it here. But basically, the only kind of Voltron-related piece that I have in this deck is... Let's see if I can find it. Come on, come on, come on. I'm sure the suspense is killing everyone. Well, I can cheat out the... Wait. No, it's just an aura card. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Still looking. Still looking. Here we are. Here we are. My favorite aura. Steel of the Godhead. So, as soon as I play Sovereigns of Lost Alara, they don't even have to attack. I just attack with Rafiq, who is white and blue. Swing that basically onto him. And he attacks, getting double strike and being unblockable, and having lifelink. Meaning that I gain a crapload of life. I'm usually able, depending on how much Exalted I have on the board, I'm usually able to wipe somebody out in one hit if I get enough, you know, damage on board, enough, you know, buffs and everything. So those cards are fantastic. Here are a couple of the gods I chose to include. Thassa, again, because of the unblockable, and I get free Scry. And Krufix, really, really, really solid... Whoops, move them this way. Try and center these a little bit better. But Krufix, really, really, really solid. Just mana dump, no maximum hand size. It's just great. And then both of the creatures, both of them obviously gods, so they're indestructible. And when they become creatures, they just make great blockers. Not a lot of people run Exile in Commander decks, I've noticed. Mostly because it's sometimes beneficial to just destroy, like, your own creatures and stuff. I'm sure there's somebody out there who's like, nah, man, I run Exile everything, and that's fantastic. You do you, buddy. Another one of my favorite, like, equipments or augmentations, Colossus Hammer. It reminds me of when I play Dark Souls and I run a two-handed character and run just giant buffs, giant weapons. So that's just always fun. Adding some more, you know, like Exalted, we've got Battle Grace Angel. Just gives everything. Lifelink if they attack alone, which is great. Another couple great ones. Rock's Charger. Ethercast Knight. Ethercast Knight is great because he also counts as an artifact, just in case. I had a few spells in here at one time that mattered, where it would say, like, if you control an artifact, do this. So just in case I didn't have an equipment on the battlefield, you know, that was useful. Sided Cast Sorcerer is really, really useful. Hang on real quick. I'm trying to get these centered. I have a couple guideline cards here on the side, which, you know, I'm just gonna peek into frame, if no one minds. But, Sided Cast Sorcerer is really great because I can give him Shroud for 1 blue, and he has Exalted. Excuse me. So, essentially, you know, if somebody's trying to get rid of him early game and I have mana to spare, I can just save him for free and somebody wasted, or not for free, I can save him and somebody wasted a spell. I've got Lotus Field because it's... The idea is essentially that I'd crack Lotus Field in and I'd sacrifice 2 basics of the same color, if I have them. and I more than likely would. This is the only Wrath that I have in this deck. If you don't know what a Wrath is, basically a Wrath is something that clears the board of, like, you know, all creatures, enchantments, artifacts, whatever. And they are called Wraths because of I think the original card was called Wrath of God, which was destroy all creatures that can't be regenerated. I chose Supreme Verdict because I believe it was a little bit cheaper than Wrath of God at the time, and it also cannot be countered. Spells getting countered is one of my biggest pet peeves. I freaking hate it. It's just frustrating being a, you know, somebody who plays a lot of creatures and stuff, and then just having all your stuff countered. It's never fun. Happens more in, Standard and Modern and 60-card formats than in Commander, but it definitely still happens in Commander. Especially since you know when you counter a spell, it's less likely of it coming back. So another 2 Exalted cards. Frontline Sage is great because the draw a card, discard a card. If I started with a sketchy hand, maybe because I had a couple really, really good cards, but, you know, I decided, or I found out the hard way that, oh no, I now am screwed because I kept his hand. I can use him to kind of dig through my deck a little bit. Sublime Archangel is probably like the quintessential piece in this deck because other creatures you control have Exalted, and that subtext, if a creature has multiple instances of Exalted, each triggers separately, is insane. That just blew my mind the first time I saw that this card existed. And it was one of the cards that I had to be persuaded to add to Rafiq because it's just so useful. I mean, you crack this on the battlefield, and if I have a bunch of, you know, maybe somebody gave me a bunch of useless 0/1 tokens, like a bunch of goats or something, if I'm playing against Zedru the Greathearted. Or alternatively, maybe I'm playing against Grismold, and somebody gave me a bunch of plant tokens, you know, because of his effect. All of those tokens now gain Exalted, or all of my creatures that I've been slamming on the battlefield now have Exalted, and so when I swing with Rafiq, he's going to be incredibly large, and also have that double strike, meaning that even if somebody tries to block with Death Touch or something like that, if they don't have First Strike or Double Strike, I am completely safe. Try and remember to edit me taking a drink out. Alright. Another solid Exalted card I'll go over just real quick. Guardians of Akrasa, Defender, 0/4, 3 mana, Exalted. Just really solid. You can slap it on the battlefield early, and its effect just persists, you know, and it's great as just a blocker for those small early game creatures. Here are 2 cards that I didn't add until, one, I didn't add this one until it came out, because it had to be released. Obviously, you can see I have the original printing in the Commander set, which was Edgar Markov, and this one I didn't get until I just was able to afford the card, and could be persuaded to buy it. But Elish Norn is just, she is a queen. She is an absolute queen. Just +2/+2 for everything you have, everything your opponents control, -2/-2 across the board, and she has Vigilance 4/7, just fantastic card. We can bask in her glory for a little while. And Teferi's Protection, fantastic. Fantastic, probably the best, or if not the best, Don't Touch Me card that exists, because it's an instant, so you can play it at instant speed, and literally just, you cannot be touched. I think the only thing that, the only thing that really can happen to you, or the only thing that can really kill you while you have Teferi's Protection active would be if somebody milled out your entire library. But that would be very tough to do, because they'd have to mill out everybody simultaneously, considering you have protection from everything. So anyway, go ahead, grab those. Noble Hierarch right here, fantastic, beautiful, beautiful card. This card, when... I know the market has shifted a lot, but when I was after this card, before it had been reprinted as many times as it has now, which is August 2020, this card was like $50, $60, if not more. And it was like, you know, it's a mana dork, it costs 1 mana, it has Exalted, you know, it's like the perfect card for my deck, but I didn't acquire it until relatively recently. It was a couple years ago, maybe, when I was actually able to get one and afford one. These two kind of... This one definitely doesn't fall into the category of Don't Touch Me, but falls into the category of I'm going to cheat out from my library whatever, you know, would be most useful to me at this time, which is usually Avacyn if I have enough mana. If I have enough mana to dump into this, then it's usually Avacyn, because unless you counter the spell, which usually I'm very careful about timing it so that all the blue players have mana tap down, or, you know, that type of thing. Unless you counter this spell, it's pretty impossible to stop me after that, which is really, really nice. Usually it just kind of like feeds into my win con. And then Elspeth, if I'm able to get her out early enough and get to that -8, again, everything, you know, I have, being indestructible, perfect ability to just kind of start swinging at people and not really caring. And her other +1 right there, that creatures get flying and +3/+3, or target creature, it's fantastic. Let's see here. I've got another couple of just random cards here off the top, which is Loyal Unicorn and Thistledown Liege. All of the Liege cards are fantastic for if you're playing in 2 or more colors, because all of the Liege cards include +1/+1 for each of the colors that they have, and then each of them has a different effect. Thistledown Liege is a little bit... I would say it's lackluster for me, just because the flash, I think maybe once, I don't want to say never, but I think maybe once I used the flash on him to flash him in and give Rafiq an extra buff to like win a game or something. But I cannot remember any other time that actually being useful, and a lot of the other lieges have great or better effects. But the Azorius +1/+1 is what I'm really looking for in this guy. The Loyal Unicorn came out in one of the more recent Commander sets. It's 2018, looks like. So, just great that everything gets Vigilance and you prevent all combat damage that would be dealt, so you can attack freely with whatever you want. And it's going to still be up to block. Prime example being Rock's Bodyguard. You know, you can have him attack, get the Exalted buffs, and then he'll still be up. He's only a 2/3, so you definitely want to get those Exalted buffs. These two definitely fall into just like the Bant theming. Obviously, they're great for the deck. You know, Bant Battle Mage being all 3 colors, and being able to give Trample or Flying, which are 2 types of... Well, Flying being evasion, and Trample being an alternate way to get damage through. And Finest Hour is a great way to take out multiple opponents. I usually try and wait to put Finest Hour out until I'm sure that I can win with the 2 combat phases, because if I can't, then it's really, really rough, because I only get the 2. And after that, everybody knows I'm a giant threat, and I usually either win or lose. So, keep that in mind if you decide to run that card. Another 2, I would say, like, my wizards here. I know he's an advisor, but still. Basically, Grand Arbiter Augustin, one of the most hated Azorius commanders, because he just stops everything up. Spells your opponent's cast cost 1 more to cast, makes everything really, really hard. You kind of start ending up 1 turn behind if you don't get rid of him. Or if you didn't already start with an advantage anyway, like a Soul Ring on turn 1 or 2. And then Shulane, Teller of Tales, is perfect because while I don't run him as a commander in this deck, I put him in because it's fantastic to be able to bounce a creature I control to my hand to recur ETBs. It's also fantastic to get extra land with his effect. So from turn 5, just being able to snowball with land and draw cards and get card advantage. He's just a great, great creature and a great inclusion in this deck. Here are another couple of Exalted cards I'll just pop in real quick. I've got Avon Squire here, flying and Exalted, so that evasion, I can get him out early game because he's only 2 mana, and he becomes a 2/2 as soon as he attacks, even if he's the only creature out. And then Guiltspire Avenger, just being able to destroy target creature that dealt damage to me this turn. Say I have an Akroma's Memorial out for some reason, and I draw Guiltspire Avenger, slap him out, he has haste, and if something big dealt damage to me last turn and I can get rid of it, then, you know, bam, amazing. These two I'll slap out. This right here, I will say I do 100%. I do own a Gaia's Cradle. I'll probably do another video where I go through my where I go through my card collection, and I show like my folders and everything where I keep all my cards. But I do own a Gaia's Cradle. I had a bunch of proxies made so I could put them in my green decks because it's the best freaking green land for creature decks. And this one is actually a really affordable land here. If you're running Bant, or 3 or more colors, and they include Bant colors, this one's really great because it provides 3 colors. It doesn't come into play tapped, and all you have to do is bounce another land you control back to your hand, and that land has to be a non-layer. There are only, I think, 4 or 5 layer lands. I'm not sure how many there are, but the odds of you having not having another non-layer land to return is really, really low. So it's really great to be able to have your colors and not have to worry about it coming in tapped. Grand Abolisher, and yeah, we'll just go for this one because it's different. Grand Abolisher is, just during my turn, don't do anything. Opponents can't counter my spells, they can't activate abilities to do their own thing. They just have to kind of sit and watch. And it's really nice that he's only 2 mana, and he's a 2/2. A 2 mana 2/2 with a great effect like that, just a really solid card. Tamiyo here, I included because of that final ability, which puts this emblem into play, which is you may cast non-land cards from your hand without paying their mana costs. Incredibly useful. Free Omniscience, if I'm able to get to it. And it only takes 4 turns from her being on the battlefield. So if I get her out turn 4, turn 8, I can essentially start winning the game. But also, just the -2 is really great if I need to control the battlefield. And the +1, being able to get that card advantage, I can choose one of my creatures, and then one of an opponent's creatures that I know that they'll block with, or I could bring some politics into the game and say, hey, I have this creature that's a 1/3, you have this creature that is a 1/5. I will attack you with my creature that's a 1/3, and, proc the effect on both of these creatures because I want to draw 2 cards if you promise to block with that one. And, every now and then that works. It gets me some extra cards, and every now and then it doesn't. And, usually my play group is like, no, we know what you're like with extra cards in this deck. So here we have a few more Exalted. Wave Skimmer Avon is one that I've bounced between taking out of this deck before, just because of his cost. He's a 2/4 that costs 5 mana, which is really, really pricey. He does have Flying and Exalted, so he's kind of like just a better version of the other Avon. What was his name? I forgot what he was already. Avon Squire. He's just a kind of a better version of Avon Squire, but not by much. And that's kind of why I bounce between taking him out or not. But having that extra Exalted in the deck is just really powerful, and that's why I keep it. Another 2 Exalted cards that I definitely didn't originally include because they weren't knights, these 2. But both fantastic cards in their own right. I don't know why Dawnray Archer doesn't also have reach. I think, I pretty much think Wizards should have the policy of, like, if it has a bow, it more than likely should have reach. But I know why they didn't, and it's because the white and tap effect on this card, being able to deal 1 damage to target attacking or blocking creature, they're kind of like, well, can't shoot stuff out of the sky, but can shoot stuff. Just has to be a specific target. Here we have, just wanted to kind of show this off. This is one of my favorite arts of the Temple of Mystery. I got this like long time ago. One of my buddies gave it to me. And then Rogue's Passage, just a couple of really useful lands. Temple of Mystery being able to scry 1, and then Rogue's Passage being able to dump 4 colorless, or 4 of any color, and make it unblockable. Make my commander unblockable, make any creature unblockable. Fantastic, you know. Angelic Benediction and Across and Squire. Both exalted cards, both great. Across and Squire, I'm able to cheat out with Ranger of Eos, and Angelic Benediction is just great because I can tap down specific blockers. I also bought, so fun fact, there's 2 different versions of Angelic Benediction. I don't remember if I still have the other one, but they have different flavor text. That's the only difference. I wanted this one, whoops, because the flavor text is Rafiq of the Many, saying, even in single combat, I am never alone, which is the idea behind Exalted. And I just think is the coolest, like, one of the coolest, like, mottos. Very cool for flavor. Another couple enchantments I have, Spectral Ward, Protection from All Colors is great, because then Rafiq is essentially completely unblockable and unremovable from the board. You have to remove the Spectral Ward first, which is fantastic. And then Sigil of the New Dawn, allowing me to very cheaply get stuff back to my hand, just in case, you know, they're a key creature, and they get removed. These 2, fantastic. Land Tax, obviously being just a super powerful card. I prefer this art over the one of the ugly guy with the big sack of money, because it's just really, really, really pretty. And it's also cheaper, I believe, because it's not as old. Privileged Position, an amazing card. I have this one from the Silencia Guild kit. Other permanents you control have hexproof. It's fantastic. I mean, you know, if you are able to get yourself into a position, a very privileged position, might I add, where you have this card and Avacyn, it is just, you know, essentially you force your opponents to cede. 2 Celestia cards that I have in here that I think are really great. Notvine Paladin is a straight up just a team player in this deck, because his effect isn't exalted, but he just straight up gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each untapped creature I control when he attacks. So when I attack with him by himself, if I control a bunch of other creatures, then he gets buffed for those creatures and then gets the exalted buff on top of that, and any other exalted benefits that come with that. Mirari's Wake, just a great card, lots of flavor there. For, you know, Magic's original plane, Dominaria, and then, on top of that, just creatures you control get +1/+1, and extra mana, always powerful. That thing usually gets removed, like, right away, though. Another couple of Bant cards I have here, Bant Charm and Stoic Angel, both fantastic cards. Stoic Angel, players can't untap more than 1 creature during their untap steps, so if somebody just went ham, attacked me really hard, and I'm like, nah, screw that, I don't want to deal with that again, I slap out Stoic Angel, and now they're gonna have fun untapping 1 creature each turn. Which, I don't know, you could say it's cruel, but I say all's fair in love and war, right? And then Bant Charm, just incredibly useful, being able to destroy target artifact, put target creature on the bottom of its owner's library, or counter target instant spell. Really kind of like, you know, 1 thing from each color. Sorta, kinda. I've got here, instead of the white or the Celestia Liege, I have Tolsimir Wolfblood and the Voja token. Fun fact, the Voja token was not in existence before the Celestia Guild kit. It didn't exist. They didn't print it with the original Tolsimir Wolfblood in Ravnica. But they finally did print one, and might I say, it is amazing. But anyway, Tolsimir, fantastic. You're able to create a free token just by tapping him, and that token then becomes a 4/4, just because of him. So, great card. 2 more Exalted cards, and then we're done, actually. These are the last 2 cards. One, I would say, of the core cards of the deck, Cathedral of War. It's a fantastic, land. It taps for a colorless, so it's not that, super useful for, Bant specifically, but that Exalted. The fact that even though it comes into the battlefield tapped, I can still get the Exalted effect if I'm strategic about it, because that doesn't matter whether it's tapped or not, is just, really powerful. And then Sigiled Paladin having First Strike, really great, especially with the fact that he's a 2/2 and has Exalted, so becomes a 3/3, just on his own. And yeah, that was my first commander deck, Rafiq of the Many. I know I didn't exactly read what he does, but I'm sure you saw at the beginning of the video. Exalted, which is the theme of the deck, and whenever a creature you control attacks alone, it gains double strike until end of turn, so, give him the old 1/2. The refining of this deck, I'll just do a little quick wrap up here so I can try to keep this under an hour. The refining of this deck was really how I grew and learned as a player, because I was building decks, other than this, like a fiend. When Ulrich of the Krallen Horde came out, I built a Werewolf Tribal deck, which I'll probably do another video on, just because that's another one of my favorites. He's not the best Werewolf Commander, but he is the only Werewolf Commander, so I guess by default, he's the best. But anyway, I started building a ton of other decks. I definitely didn't stop playing and having fun. But Rafiq did really bum me out, so I kind of shelved him, and I kept just improving him over time, just I'd buy some packs just for fun, crack of the new set, crack a really good card that could fit in his theme, swap that in and out, see that might work well or not work so well, and then kind of just continue to go from there. And really just the idea that Rafiq being my first commander deck and him being my first attempt at a tribal deck, and me realizing, listen, I don't like just tribal, I love to build themes. I love to build around a specific mechanic, or I like to build around, the tribe, specific creatures. I also just kind of feel that, it's a little bit more challenging to build a deck that way, for me personally. I'm not saying that it's less challenging to build the deck that, doesn't have a theme, especially because those decks more often perform better because you usually use cards that just synergize better and do, instead of focusing maybe on a creature type, they synergize with what the creature does, which is another, way I like to build decks, but not always. So that's why I kind of add that stipulation to, to my own nonsense, I guess. But yeah, this has been my, I don't know what I'd call this. I guess just my commander deck, or my commander decks. I have so many. I have 20 something commander decks. I just kind of I just want to post more. I want to post to YouTube more. I want to try and become better at speaking. I want to try and become better at, planning my videos out, keeping kind of a notepad or a set of reminders for myself to keep myself on track. I kind of want to try and shift to just more thoughtful or thought out videos, which I just think is just inevitable, and part of growth overall. But anyway, so please give me any feedback, constructive, deconstructive, I don't care. I'll pull something constructive from it. But whatever you do, just, if you like this video, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you want to see more videos. I'm going to probably keep posting gameplay alongside these more casual Magic the Gathering videos, and if the Magic the Gathering content is what people want to see, then by all means, I will go ham with that. So, thank you again, and I'll see you guys in the next one.